Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into one of the most just incredible business stories of the last decade. We're talking about how a complete unknown, a total outsider, took on the titans of tech in one of the world's toughest markets and didn't just win, but completely conquered it in just 3 years. So I want you to picture this. It's 2014, you're trying to break into the Indian smartphone market, a place so competitive that most new players barely even stand a chance. It's an absolute battlefield where fortunes are made, but let's be real, mostly lost. Now imagine a company that doesn't just compete, it completely rewrites the rules of the game and just dominates. I mean, this is a true zero-to-hero story that left the entire industry completely stunned. And that company is Xiaomi. The big question, the one everyone was asking, is how on earth did they pull it off? I mean, how do you go from absolutely nothing to #1 almost overnight? Okay, let's really get into this. So, first things first, we really need to understand the battlefield, because to truly appreciate the win, you have to get just how stacked the odds were against them. The Indian market back then, it was not for the faint of heart. You see, the market was basically a fortress. It was totally locked down by established global giants like Samsung. And, this is key, the incredibly popular homegrown brand Micromax. These guys had massive retail networks, huge marketing budgets, and brand recognition. And Xiaomi? Well, you can see it right there on the chart. A big, fat zero. So Xiaomi's first move was just a masterstroke. They launched the Mi 3. This was a phone with what everyone started calling flagship killer features. It had all the power and specs of the top-of-the-line phones, but at a price that honestly seemed impossible. It was a direct challenge to the expensive models from all its rivals. But look, a great product isn't enough, right? You can have the best gadget in the world, but if nobody knows about it, who cares? They needed a genius strategy, something to cut through all that noise. So instead of pouring millions into building out a traditional retail network, stores, distributors, all that stuff, Xiaomi did something pretty radical. They decided to go online only, partnering up with the e-commerce giant Flipkart. This move slashed their costs like you wouldn't believe, and it let them pass all those savings directly onto the customer. And here's where it gets really clever. They didn't just sell phones. They turned buying one into an event. They basically gamified the whole process. By announcing super limited stock and starting a big countdown timer, they weaponized scarcity. It turned into this viral marketing machine that generated massive and, more importantly, totally organic hype. This created a frenzy like nobody had ever seen before. Just think about it for a second. You've saved up your money, you're so excited to buy your first real smartphone. You log on at the exact second it goes live, and poof, it's gone. Entire batches of these phones would just vanish in seconds, leaving these out-of-stock banners and social media absolutely buzzing. But okay, a clever sales trick can get you noticed, but it can't sustain a brand in the long run. To really, truly dominate, Xiaomi knew they had to do more than just sell a product. They had to win over the hearts and minds of the Indian people. And what they did next just showed this total obsession with localization. This wasn't some Chinese company just operating in India. They worked like crazy to become an Indian company. They added regional languages to the phones, they sponsored cricket, they marketed around local festivals, and they built service centers way out in smaller towns. And, so crucial, they put prominent Indian executives right at the front, making them the face of the brand. So, you've got to be asking the big question, right? This all sounds amazing, but with those razor-thin margins and unbelievably low prices, how in the world was this company actually making any money? Well, this is where the real genius is. Here's the secret sauce. The phone wasn't the main product. Not at all. The phone was the entry ticket. Xiaomi's entire strategy was to get their hardware into as many hands as physically possible, even if it meant making almost zero profit on the actual device. Because they built this incredibly powerful ecosystem, a flywheel. You buy the phone at that amazing price. That pulls you into their world of services, apps, ads, and a whole bunch of other connected devices, like fitness bands and smart TVs. That's where they make their money. It created this cycle that their competitors, who were totally stuck on making profit from hardware, just couldn't compete with. So when you look back at this incredible rise, what can we actually learn from it? What are the core ideas from this playbook? Let's try and boil it all down into 3 really powerful rules for disrupting any industry. Rule number 1, obsess over localization. I mean, really deep cultural adaptation isn't just a nice little extra. It's a fundamental advantage that will beat generic, one-size-fits-all marketing every single time. Second, use data, not just gut feelings. Xiaomi literally used social media as a real-time feedback machine. They were listening and reacting instantly to what their customers were saying they wanted, and that gave them an absolutely unbeatable edge. And number three, think ecosystem, not just a single product. The goal isn't just about making one sale. It's about building an interconnected world for your customers, one that creates lifetime value and ultimately long-term profit. Xiaomi's playbook didn't just help them sell phones. It fundamentally changed the game in India. It proved that even the most heavily defended markets can fall. And that leaves us with one last, really interesting question to think about. Which brand and which industry is going to be disrupted next? Welcome to The Explainer. Today,